Hi friends, Shashwat here. Welcome back to my lockdown diaries. These diaries of mine are just repositories of thoughts and experiences as we go through these, quarantine days in India. So, as I'm making this diary, and while you might be watching this, there's a severe cyclone that is ripping apart the state of West Bengal right now. Amphan, as it's called, based on the Thai name of sky. The storm has made landfall today in the evening, and as usual, there was a lot of devastation that was expected out of this cyclone, which has been the worst since recorded history in the Bay of Bengal. As usual, as was expected, there has been a lot of destruction that has been in the wake. Fortunately, not the kinds that we are accustomed to. I remember when I used to be a kid, and back then, whenever these cyclones used to come hit the coast of Andhra Pradesh or Orissa for that matter, you would always hear reports of thousands of people dead, and the kind of devastation they used to make. So unlike that, fortunately, as of now, the casualties are not very high. There are just 3 people that have been reportedly killed. I believe the NDRF, the National Defence Relief Force, has made a very good stance there. They have been active, very on the ground there. They have got numerous battalions of them working in Orissa and West Bengal to ensure that all these relief measures are done. There has been a big plan of evacuation. 3 lakh people have been evacuated in West Bengal, and around 1 lakh, if I'm not wrong, in Orissa. So the preparation has been done well. The biggest challenge was, of course, the cyclone is coming at a very unforeseen time. We are already suffering from a calamity of COVID virus right now, COVID-19, the pandemic that is there. In addition, we have something like this. So it's become immensely difficult for rescue and relief, simply because you have to also adhere to the social distancing norms. So in that sense, it's a big challenge. Also, the big challenge is the area that's gonna hit. West Bengal and especially Bangladesh are very densely populated areas. So we have seen that in the past, whenever cataclysmic natural disasters like this have come, the impact has been severe because of the amount of people that live in that zone. So, but beyond that, there's another interesting aspect that I thought I'll touch upon today, and that is, I'm sure, while the news of Amphan will be very well covered by all our news channels, including international ones, and I'm seeing a lot of that coverage there, I want to talk something different. I want this cyclone is gonna touch the Sundarbans. Now, the Sundarbans is an amazing mangrove wetlands that's there, that lies between Bangladesh and India. It's one of the most amazing mangrove forested area that is there, spread over across 10,000 square miles. India shares quite a lot of it with Bangladesh. It's also very naturally biodiverse. There's a huge amount of biodiversity. There's a whole lot of amphibians. There are migratory birds. There are mammals. There are a whole sort of plants, and amazing diversity that has been documented over the past many years. And it is also a natural shield for the coastal regions of West Bengal, Bangladesh, against these sort of incidences that happen. They act like a natural defense shield between the the surge of water and the land area that is there. So, but Sundarbans has also been impacted severely by all these events. So back in 2007, there was a cyclone called Sidar that was there. It had devastated a lot of area towards India, and Bangladesh also, where close to thousands of people had died. In 2009, there was another cyclone, Ayla, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so that had also destroyed a lot of these mangrove forests. So this area has not been unknown to these kind of disasters. While Amphan is one of the biggest, but there have been numerous of these things. What is very interesting out there is how the animals, and especially the animal life, they kind of adapt to all these things. And so I was just wondering, so, there are a lot of animals, especially tigers. There are close to 100 tigers, if I'm not wrong, from the Indian side in the Sundarbans. And Sundarbans have been famous for its, the Royal Bengal tiger because of its unique aspect. Now, the Royal Bengal tiger, tigers usually are averse to water. They don't like to be, while they hunt and live and reside near water bodies, but they are not very as normal cats, they are not very much fond of the water. But the tigers in Sundarban have no option except for water, because it's all marshy, mangroves and wetlands. So here they seem to have evolved and adapted to a life in water. So these are river swimming, sea swimming tigers, and there have been instances of tigers leaping out of the sea on attacking humans on boats and all those kind of. So there have been numerous stories which are very scary and fascinating. So there have been times where people have gone into the Sundarbans and they have been very cautious and scared and worried about the tigers striking at them. So there have been numerous there are numerous tigers like that. But in all these disasters that have happened in the past also, the animals seem to have somehow managed to escape the wrath of nature. And that brings us to a very interesting aspect. Do animals have a sixth sense, as they call it? Do these animals have some sort of extra sensory power? Do they have some kind of they have something which we humans lack, and they are able to predict and preserve themselves against all these natural disasters? And it's not only cyclones in Bay of Bengal. There have been other instances. Of course, the biggest one would be back in 2004, the Boxing Day, earthquake which triggered a tsunami, the biggest one that we had seen on our in the South Asia. Remember? And at that time, I remember of all the tales of devastation, there was a very different story that had come from Sri Lanka. So there is a national park, Yala National Park, where they have these herds of elephants out there. And for some odd reason, that day, just before the tsunami, the earthquake in the night and the tsunami subsequently, these elephant herds had moved to a higher ground. And researchers were, they had no explanation to why that is happening. And subsequently, when the tsunami came, there was a lot of discussion about how these elephants had escaped this tsunami itself. And not only in Sri Lanka, the case had been, in very many ways you have seen these kind of incidences where the animals seem to kind of, they have a premonition of the event that is coming to them. There have been instances of how in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, a lot of people have seen before these kind of events, the cyclones that were happening, the dolphins tend to swim out deeper into the water. So all the dolphin sightings get disturbed. I remember reading some cases in Italy. There was these toads that had left their nest before the earthquake had come, and then they came back again. In Japan, there have been numerous discussions around dogs itself, on how dogs kind of react before the earthquake comes. And while all these might be tales or stories that have been told and retold and documented, I have a personal connect to this thing. Way back in 1993, there was this earthquake in Latur, and I was pretty young at that point. We were living in Mumbai we are living in Mumbai still with my family and all. So we had a pet dog. His name was Bozo. I well remember that day, just the night before. So Bozo was a pretty chirpy pom that is there. He was always naughty and playful. But somehow I remember a day before the earthquake had come, he was very restless and he was whining and making all those sort of weird noises. And the worst thing was, he was constantly again and again hiding beneath the table. He was just reaching out in the table and just not willing to come out at even for when we were trying to feed him. He was acting very funny, and we were like, what has come over him? Why is he acting so weird today? And which was very unusual behavior on our part. And I remember the next day in the morning when we came to know that the earthquake had come sometime late in the night, and the huge amount of devastation that was happening. And next day, of course, Bozo was pretty normal. So this thing stuck in me, that I had experienced this firsthand, and dogs have been renowned to sense a disturbance of this sort. And I have also known quite a few friends of mine who have shared something similar. In Delhi, before the tremors had come some years back, a couple of my friends had told me something similar. So the question that arises here again is, do animals have these special ESP powers that are there? The scientists have a different take on that. According to them, animals have a very heightened sense of the sensory powers. So they can hear a lot more than we do, they can smell much better than we do, their vision is much more stronger. So there is this theory that before an earthquake there's a tectonic movement out there beneath the surface. The animals are able to sense it somehow, and that's what kind of triggers. There's another thing that says there's a change in the magnetic field of the earth, and because of that the birds and all also realize that thing. There have been, even in the seas, there are some movements that happen which kind of are sensed by the sharks and all these animal fishes and mammals in the water, and they are able to safeguard themselves. So in all these things, there's a whole lot of research that is needed, and to discover ways and means in which we could learn from these amazing species, and learn in ways and manners to predict these kind of disasters, and then be able to protect ourselves. There's another thing that is very popular these days, is something called as biomimicry. Now biomimicry is we tend to mimicking the way nature has evolved a lot of things. All these natural disasters, all these natural things, the nature always empowers its denizens in ways and means in which they can take care of themselves. So biomimicry is not only designed to safeguard against any of destruction of this kind, but also to learn how to deal with things in much better fashion. So you have biomimicry being used. I remember the best example is how the kingfisher bird, the Japanese the railways, they used the kingfisher the way the beak is designed, to design their own bullet trains, so that it could escape that sonic boom that it was creating a lot of noise. The structure of the whales has been used to design the wind turbines. There have been numerous examples of how the shark, the kind of their bio skin is designed by nature, to use it in how our ships and submarines are being designed. So there's so much that we can learn through nature. There's so much that we can learn from these animals and ESP. How they react, how they predict and they safeguard. So my only thing, I'm waiting to know what happens after Amphan, in the aftermath of Amphan. If there's some sort of, we need to do some sort of research into this thing. What has been the impact of animals? How have they dealt with this natural catastrophe themselves? And this could give us a clue on what we also need to do in these times. Possibly in these coronavirus also there might be some animals who are being able to deal with these kind of things. We can learn from them as well, and adapt those kind of things, right? So those are some things that I was just thinking about. I remember when cyclone Sidra had come way back in 2007. There was this report of, because of the devastation in the Sundarbans, the tigers had moved into urban areas, and they had become man-eaters just because of lack of prey in that area. So we need to discover and research on these aspects, and possibly we'll be able to deal better in our own lives, and deal better with our things that we face, the natural calamities that we face. Yeah, so that's about it that I thought I'll share today. Amphan is it's supposed to go on, devastate the whole, till tomorrow we'll really get the whole picture, what has been the kind of devastation. Already Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, has said that it's worse than coronavirus epidemic that they have faced. There are a lot of northeast states which are also worried about the kind of impact that it will have. Of course, once the landfall is done, it will only peter out. So we'll only get to know the real picture after that. Let's hope so. The devastation, it is limited in terms of the casualties, and this is not something that we need to be dealing about right now. So on that hope and on that prayer, I'll take your leave today. I'll catch you again tomorrow. Till then, stay safe, stay inside, and don't forget to wash your hands. Bye bye.